Yeah.
That's a big one, dude. That's a giant one.
There is one with him still.
Yeah, I saw it.
Get the net. Oh.
I don't want to get. I don't want to get to. All right. Yeah.
Chasing man, you show us how to perform. Well, your style's been changed because we're so vain, but you'll take sunset for stone. Look out, honey, you're bad, bad, bad. Here you come, said you're bad, bad, bad. Gonna sing for a time. You're the hottest ticket in town. Well, you show us new moves, cause baby, you're smooth. You're above us.
Well, get those life vests zipped and clipped, strap down those rods, and stash away those tackle bags because we are going fishing. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bass Two Anglers podcast. I hope this episode finds you with 5 for 25 in your live well. I'm your host, Keith Nicewanger, and today I'm going to share a drop shot hack that has been very helpful to me, and I think it will help you as well. But first, if you like the content we produce on this channel, please hit the subscribe button, ring the notifications bell, and please leave us a comment if you're so inclined. Ducket Fishing is coming to the West. You know these guys, the strongest pro staff in all professional bass fishing. Ducket is building a Western presence, and if you haven't seen it yet, you soon will. Find out about the Ducket lineup of pro-driven products by going to their website, ducketfishing.com. Are you catching all the fish you could be catching on a drop shot? Consider this scenario. You're carefully counting pebbles on the bottom of the lake. You're pulling your drop shot over rocks, through the brush, along the grass lines. You carefully pull, shake that bait. Your rod tip gets a little higher and then a little higher. And then when a rod tip is straight up, tick, you get bit with your rod tip at 12 o'clock high and you miss the fish. Happens to me all the time. Today, I'm going to share a drop shot hack that I think is going to help you catch more fish when this happens. So zip up that vest, hold on to the rails. Here we go. Moonshine, whiskey, and rye. Step into my boots and I head for the door. Gonna live a few hours for and die a few more. When loving you feels like living in a war, I don the hat from the liquor store. Tried to understand the reason we fought the lights. It was with me, reality was not. Cannot do, what can I confess? To get you out of that storm-coated dress. Only hit me cause you loved me once I understood how whiskey only hits tomorrow, but it's loving me right now. So wanna drink a cheers where they know my name. I wear my necklace off a door to hide my shame. Oh, 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 oh. So what's this hack, you ask? What is this thing that I'm doing that's helping me catch more fish on a drop shot? And how will it help you? Well, that hack is a longer rod. I have been on a quest in recent weeks and months to find the longest spinning rod that I can find, because my feeling is that the longer the rod I'm using is going to give me an advantage when I get that rod tip out of position. Now, the rod that I have found is a Duck It Fishing 7 foot 6 inch medium power rod in their Salt series. It's a long rod, and it's a longer spinning rod than I've ever used before. But what I like about it is that when I'm working a bait through rocks and over brush and through brush and things like that, and when my rod tip gets up a little bit higher, I can get that hook set even when the rod tip is almost at 12 o'clock. Now, I try very hard not to get the rod tip to that point, but as we're pulling a bait through cover, it's inevitable that our rod tip's going to get a little bit high. And I don't know why the fish do this, but they always seem to bite right when that rod tip is in the worst position. And then they never bite when you have your rod tip at 3 o'clock or lower than that. They always wait till that rod tip is up high. At least that's been my experience. Another advantage that I like with a longer rod is it really helps me in playing these fish out. These are finesse. This is a finesse technique we're talking about. And in that situation that I'm going to have, I'm going to want to play that fish out. A longer rod really lets me play that fish out. And that longer rod really helps me play that fish out. Okay, so when you're fishing, you're obviously got lots of cover and stuff like that out there. You've got rocks and boulders and grass and other things, logs, stuff like that. You're fishing where you're supposed to be fishing. It's very easy for us to get out of position. Now here you can see my rod tip is straight up in the air. I don't know about you, but I always seem to get bit when I'm in this position. But it's natural, and I don't know any other way to fish. You don't want to drag your bait into snags. Here I am again, way too high, way out of position. Again, when we get bit in this situation, we have problems. Now, the longer rod, I think, helps me make up for that. In this situation, see, my rod tip is again kind of high there, and the longer rod really helped me set the hook on that fish. The other thing I like about the longer rod is that I have a lot more leverage on that fish. I feel like you let the rod do most of the work, bringing that fish to the boat. It takes the pressure off the line. And again, I just feel like I have a lot more control over that fish with that longer 7.5 foot rod. This particular fish ran pretty well on me, but I had the drag adjusted perfectly, and the rod just kind of wore him out. And that's what you're doing when you're finesse fishing. You're gonna try to wear that fish out. So again, not only do I think does it help in hook sets, and do I feel like I hook more fish that I might ordinarily miss, I also feel like I've got a good sense of being able to play that fish, have more leverage over that fish when I got him hooked. Okay, here again, let's watch me get my rod tip up too high. See, right there, it's just about, I'm pulling it through some rocks or something, which I have to do to get it over, to get it back in. But there again, there's that rod tip. It's too high. And I get bit like this all the time. And when I do, if I'm using a shorter rod, I feel like I miss those fish a lot of times. And here's another one where I was able to hook up and get it. I'm convinced because of that longer rod. So the bottom line is I know that I'm not always going to have my rod tip in the right position. I feel like the longer rod gives me not only an opportunity to cover up for my mistakes, but also helps me play that fish out better. Well, I hope this helped you. I hope that the idea of using a longer rod is something that you'll go out and try, and I think you'll find that you're able to hook more fish that bite, and I think that you'll find that you have a lot more leverage, a lot more control over those fish once you have them hooked. Until next time, keep those life vests zipped and clipped, and we will talk to you again very soon.